Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me. This week, my guest is Darcy Hunter, and she runs the Etsy shop Darcy Doodle Quilts, where she sells her original art quilts and fiber art, which she makes into all kinds of things. And so I'm so thrilled to have her as my guest. Darcy, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Well, I'm thrilled to talk to you too. And I know we already started the conversation a little bit before this. So before I get carried away, continuing where we left off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what specifically you make and sell on Etsy?
So I'm a textile artist, which means I use a variety of fibers to create my art. I use fabric and thread and other textiles such as yarns to paint with. And I make wall hangings and journals, pendants, and I also carry art prints of all my work. And I make patterns of some of my creations so that I can sell them to other people that want to learn what I do.
And when do you sleep, Darcy?
I don't.
Wow, yeah. And your work is so beautiful. I started to tell you how the colors are so vibrant, and even coming across in your pictures, I can see they just seem so alive.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So how did you first discover Etsy, and when?
Well, I was in a local quilt show with my fellow quilters, and somebody saw some of the art quilts that I had just started creating, and she asked if she could put them up in her hotel. And so I started a little shop there. And at the same time, one of my friends, Natasha, she was home on maternity leave, and she had just started a little Etsy shop selling vintage items. And she told me about it. I had never heard of Etsy. She told me about it. She said, "You should sell some of your things on Etsy." And I was like, maybe I will. And I started then. So
did you have any idea how to run the shop? Did you do some research, or did Natasha help you out, or were you just winging it?
I'm a teacher, so I'm one of those people that's always loving to learn. So I do a lot of research before I jump into anything. So I did a lot of research, and then just uploaded my shop and kept adding to it as I understood more of how to do things.
Yeah. So when did you first start quilting?
When I was, well, I've always been creative my whole life. I've been creative. There was a little old lady that lived across the street from me when I was a little girl, and she taught me how to knit and crochet and such. And then my mother actually bought me a sewing machine when I was 8. And I started making my own Barbie clothes. So I've sewn pretty much all of my life. And when I grew up and got married, and I carried my sewing machine through university with me and made curtains and such for my apartments. And then when I was going to have my first child, I wanted to make something special for him. So I made my first quilt.
And you never stopped.
And I didn't stop. No.
Nice. And then now you make your quilts, not just quilts, but you also quilt journal covers and postcards, etc. Mm-hmm. How did you decide to branch out into those other items?
Well, I was trying to think of some smaller things. Like, a lot of people love to have something handmade, but they can't afford a big item like an art quilt. So I was trying to think of some different things that I could make that were smaller and still handmade. And they also allow me to experiment with some new things that I'm wanting to try. So,
yeah. And where do you get the ideas for for your designs? Where does the inspiration for your quilt designs come from?
Every time I go out for a walk or a hike, or my family likes to cross country ski and downhill ski, we're always outside, and we take our dog out quite a bit too. So when I'm outside, I always take my camera with me, and if I see something inspiring, I take a picture, and I use those pictures, those photos, to inspire me, as well as looking at other artists' work as well. That always is very inspiring to me.
Yeah. How hard or easy was it to learn how to document your patterns, your pattern designs, and then make them into not printable, but PDF designs that other people can make?
Well, when I first started making my art quilts, I would just make them and not keep any kind of written information as to how I did it. So it started out for myself, because I would think, oh, I remember I loved those trees that I did on that quilt. And it would take me forever to remember exactly what I did. So now I write everything down. I make a really good sketch and write everything that I did. And then if someone expresses interest in a certain quilt that they really love, I'll make it into a pattern. And I like to make patterns from my more simple quilts, like my easier quilts that would be more beginner intermediate for people.
Okay. When you sell your patterns, do you also include licensing rights? Like, can someone who buys it make it and resell, or no?
I would rather not. I actually put on my patterns that it's for personal use only, or they could sell a couple maybe, but I'd rather they didn't.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I often wonder, and I think sometimes people forget to include licensing information, because you'd really never know what someone is going to do with the pattern. I mean, for the most part, people just get them to make for themselves, but yeah, it's good to be safe. So after you opened your Etsy shop and you educated yourself about Etsy, how long did it take before the sales started coming in?
That's a good question. I think it was in like the first month. Somebody bought a wall hanging for Mother's Day for her mom, and I had given the same wall hanging to my mother for Mother's Day. So I was so excited when I heard that cha-ching. I still get excited when I hear it.
Yeah, never gets old.
No.
Does it sometimes stress you out though? Because I know for me, sometimes if I have a lot going on and I hear it, I get excited, and then I think, okay, wait, now I have more work to do. How do you feel?
Well, I used to do some made to order items, and I do have a couple, but mostly I only put up things that I have. So all I have to do is package them up and send them off. So one of my organization things that I'm working on is, as soon as I come into the studio, if I have any orders, I'll package those first, because I know that has to be done, and I like to get them out quickly to my customers. So they really appreciate that. So.
Okay. So, how do you know, or not how do you know, but how long will you hold on to something before you feel like it's time to take it down if it doesn't sell?
I've been pretty lucky, and I've sold most of my items. I think.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there might be a few things that I haven't, and I've taken them down for a time and then put them back up, and then they sold. So it seems like my art pieces, there's always someone out there that likes it and that wants it for themselves. So just take some time to find that right person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about what else you're doing. You also teach part-time elementary school, and you teach kids in China, and you're running your own workshops.
Yes. I just started being an online teacher in December. I teach children online, And I usually, like this last month, I've been doing like 4 classes a day. So that's just 2 hours a day.
Oh, okay.
Unless I'm teaching at the school, at the local school. And as far as the classes on that line, the workshops, it's relatively new to me, but I'm loving it. I love it.
Yeah. And all this teaching you're doing, is it all art related?
No, the elementary teaching, that's what my degree is in. So I'm just an elementary teacher, but the teachers that get me in that know me really well usually get me to do art for them on the day I'm in.
Yeah. And then is that the same for the kids in China? Is it elementary school standard teaching or
it's learning English. They're learning English.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you decide to start doing the workshops because of what happened with the pandemic, or was that something that was just always on your slate of things that you wanted to eventually start doing?
Well, I've done some workshops. I've just been kind of getting my feet wet the last couple of years, but I find it's hard to take up a Saturday because usually people want to do the workshops on a Saturday. So I like to be with my family on the weekend. So it was kind of I wasn't sure what to do, but to make a positive thing out of the pandemic, I can do them at home and I can do them whenever. And all of my materials are here. I don't have to travel and find a place to stay. It's worked out really well. And the people that take the classes can see a lot better because they can all see close up what I'm doing, which is better than sometimes when you go out to a workshop, there's a crowd around the person and it's hard to see. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that aspect, but yes, that's so true. And how do you get the word out about your workshops? Are you involved in specific communities where it's easy to just let them know, or do you do any type of advertising and promotion to an audience that doesn't know you yet?
No, I actually, I did my first trunk show, which is just like a slide show or slides showing my work. And from that, I said, I will be willing to try a workshop. That was with my local guild. And somebody suggested to me that, why don't you contact other guilds all over Canada? So that's what I did. I started emailing guilds that I knew were had transferred to Zoom to do their meetings. Yeah. And just got some interest back that way.
Yes. I love hearing about how, because of the pandemic, doors are opening up or have opened up that people otherwise would not have, thought about beforehand, because we were so used to thinking, okay, if I want to run a workshop, it has to be in person. And so then you only think locally and you think smaller. But now, because of the pandemic, I mean, it definitely has, some negative things, but the positive is now your reach is so much wider than it could have been before.
It's really pushed me, I know, and opened myself up to new wonderful experiences, because I meet a lot of people that I would never have met otherwise.
Yeah, yes. So what does a typical day look like for you, if there is such a thing as a typical day? And how do you manage your time?
Well, if I'm not teaching at the elementary school, I usually get up early, and I usually teach, as I said, 4 classes, which they're all a half an hour. So 4 children in China, can be 6 maybe sometimes. And then I do all my evaluations and feedback to them. And then I start packaging orders, and I look at my list. I have lots of to-do lists, and I try to prioritize what's the most important thing to get done today. And I try to concentrate on that. Before, I used to be all over the place and not sure what to do next. But now I'm more organized as to, okay, what do I need to do today? And then I work on that. And I will sometimes work most of the day and into the evening as well. So I spend a lot of time in my studio. My husband says he feels like he lives alone sometimes because I'm here. The kids do their homework down here. And yeah, it's the hub of the house for sure.
So is there any point in time, and is there even a desire on your part to one day just make your entire living through your artwork and not do any more teaching?
That's a good question. My husband and I have talked about that quite a bit. I do love teaching. And I also feel that I would turn into a hermit if I didn't get out every once in a while. So I think what I'm doing now is working for me. I would eventually, when I decide to retire, I would probably stop teaching locally, maybe do a little bit online, and then try to grow my business more. I'm trying to work on getting into galleries and doing more exhibitions and opening myself up to bigger work, I guess. Yeah.
How do you determine what value to place on the items that you make and how to price them?
That's an ongoing struggle. I try to pay myself an amount per hour, and then materials and such after that. But it's not an exact science by any means. And if I get quicker at something, I actually get to make a little more money on it because I'm getting quicker at doing it, right? So, so it's a work in progress, always.
How do you place value on the items that you make, and how do you decide what to charge?
So it's kind of a difficult formula. It's a work in progress for sure. When I first started, I really undervalued my work because I wanted to make sales, of course. But now I try my best to give myself an hourly rate and then add approximately 30% for materials and overhead and such.
How did you decide on 30%?
Just research from other artists and what they charge and other Etsy sellers. I do a lot of research and try to figure out what's fair. And I look at other artists, what they're selling on Etsy and how much they're selling them for as well. So to kind of give me a better idea.
And is the bulk of your customers, are they overseas? And I should mention that Darcy is based in Canada. I don't know if we mentioned that already.
No, we didn't actually.
Yes. So Darcy is based in Canada. And so are most of your sales to local residents, like within Canada, or do you sell more outside the country?
Most of in the last couple of years, it's changed. So at first it was mostly US. And I would get all of my large commissions from the US. But now, since they've made some changes on Etsy, buyers can find local sellers. And I've been getting a lot of Canadian customers lately, and I love it because it's nice. It's nice to have a mix of people from other places and from your own country, of course. So it's been really nice to connect with some fellow Canadians, but I haven't done much in the way of international. I've sold PDFs and such, but not much for delivering anything or sending anything overseas.
Right. When you, because you just mentioned your the digital products, when you started carrying those, have you found that they are becoming a significant portion of your sales, or are your handmade items still the bulk of your sales?
I'm finding that the patterns in my kits that I make, I just recently started making kits of my patterns and my prints and note cards. That's what my big sellers are right now, which is kind of nice because it's freeing me up time to make more things, to make more. It's more of a passive income. So,
yeah. Nice. I think it's always nice to be able to have at least one stream of income that's passive. And by passive, that lest anyone be deceived, doesn't mean that you didn't do anything to create it. Usually the work is front loaded, like you do it all up front, and the more work you do, I feel the more work you do up front that you put into a product that eventually will become passive, I think you get more over time from that.
Definitely. And as I've gotten better at taking photos, my note cards and my art prints have gotten better, and I feel good about selling them for sure. Like I feel that I've gotten better at that sort of thing. I've gotten a really good camera, and I work really hard to make them look really nice.
Yeah. Have you ever had any customers that weren't happy when they did receive the products that they got from you, whether it was a physical item or digital?
I honestly don't think so. I have amazing customers.
Look at you, Darcy. That's great.
I might have had one that thought, I think there was one a few years ago. She it was a commission, and she asked me to make a small 8x10 art quilt for her mom, and it was of a Christmas tree outside. So I made it and sent it, and she thought it was a little small, but she still gave me 5 stars. So it was, yeah. So I think people like, I've also learned that people like getting presents in the mail. So I always wrap everything. I wrap everything that I send. I always send a handmade or a handwritten note. And if they spend over $100 in my shop, which I don't advertise, but I usually send an art print as well as an extra little treat. So
yeah. Oh, I love those surprises that come. Yeah. So based on that experience where the customer had the wrong idea about the size of the product, did you do anything with your actual listings to maybe make it clearer what the dimensions were or sizing?
She had requested it. It was a commission, so
that's right,
she knew what it was going to be, and that was honestly, that's the only negative thing that's happened. The other thing was over Christmas time, this past Christmas. There were 2 orders that didn't make it to where they were supposed to be going. Actually, there are 3. One of them, we found it. And one of them, I had a problem with when I was creating the shipment order, and I didn't put tracking on it by accident. So it got lost. And so I just refunded her. And I don't know. I've tried to ask her if she ever received it, but she's never told me. And then another one, the postal service paid me back. So I just sent another one of the same, and it wasn't. So the only loss really was that one that got lost.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Do you insure everything that you sell? Well, at least the higher end products.
The higher end products, I always put tracking and insurance as well. Yeah. But the smaller items, anything that can fit in letter mail, I send, and I take a picture of it so that they know that I have put it in the mail for them.
Oh, that's a good idea. So in addition to the email, well, I guess if you use Etsy shipping, it sends them an email. But if you don't, you just always send them a picture of it all packaged and addressed to them. Is that what you send?
I actually don't send it to them. I just take a picture just in case there is a problem.
Oh, okay.
And then that way I can say, well, look, I sent it. If you haven't received it in another week, let me know. I'll send another one, kind of thing. So, yeah, unless it's something that's one of a kind, right? And one of a kind things are usually insured. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
Hmm.
And then how do you know when to delete that picture?
I usually keep them for a while, and then
Okay.
when I'm going through when my phone tells me that I have too many pictures, I'll go through and delete them.
Nice. So let's talk about how you promote your shop and what you do to get traffic to it. What methods are working the best for you right now?
I find the Etsy advertising, I don't spend a lot. Right now, I think it's $4 a day that I spend on advertising, but I put off using advertising for a long time. But as soon as I started using it, it came back to me like no problem. So I don't mind spending it now because I know it's going to come back to me. I usually get most of my customers directly through Etsy. So I get to the top of the first page if I advertise. So, mhm.
And do you do much, if any, social media marketing?
I do. I'm trying to get better at that because I try to put an Instagram message and it's connected to Facebook, so it would send out the same one. I try to do it almost every day,
Oh, that's good.
and I always look at other people and think I could do better. I could do better. It takes a lot of time to do,
Yes.
and people have such great ideas. I haven't figured out reels yet, but I
Uh,
plan to someday.
yes. Oh, I know. I'm always so impressed with what people are able to do on social media. And I think the same thing to myself is, oh, I could be doing so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And this summer, what you want is a teenager to run
Mm-hmm.
your Instagram
Yes.
account.
Mm-hmm.
And this summer I got one. And I
Oh,
was
did
just,
you?
I'm sorry?
You did? You got
I
you got
did.
a teenager?
I did, to run my
Oh,
Instagram.
and
And it was great. Well, first of all, if you and I leave it there just for my own entertainment. My feed pre-teenager and my feed post-teenager. And my feed pre-teenager looks like what you would think a teenager would do, which was all me. And then my feed post-teenager looks like what you think a professional would do, which was all the teen, because, they get this stuff.
yes,
And
and
so
they love doing it,
and they
right? They
love
love
doing
doing
it. She was like, "Oh, your
it.
page is just all over the place. There's no form. There's no cohesiveness." I was like, "Stop talking and just do it."
I think I need to get my daughter in on that.
You should, because I tell you, they know that stuff. I was glad. So now, like, she schooled me in what to do and what not to do, and so at least now there's flow to it, as she would say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, get a teen.
That's a great idea. I'm gonna have to work on that one.
So now you mentioned Instagram and Facebook. Do you just link them and then cross promote the same content, or do you try to create content that's unique for each platform?
No, I just create the one post on Instagram and link it to my Facebook account.
Yeah. Okay.
Much easier.
How about a website? Is that something that you have tried to do or considered doing?
Well, let me tell you. I have a website. It's not up. I find I need to spend a lot of time getting it going. And it's another one of those things that I want to do, but it's a timing issue. It's trying to figure out how to do it, technology wise, and then finding the time to actually do it. So I'm working on it. And I think I'm going to have to get it going soon because I do want to get into more galleries, and that I think that's what they look at when they're looking at artists. So, and also I want to, I've started making my own online courses. I've recorded one so far, so I think I'm going to have to put that on my website as well. So I'm going to have to get to it. Maybe this summer. I don't know.
Yes. Oh, okay. You've just opened up Pandora's box of questions for me. What's the process of getting into galleries? or what's the process, at least that you're following?
I'm not following any right now.
Okay.
I did an artist in residence last summer, and that's the first time. At the end of the summer, they did a show for us that were in the artist in residence. So that is the beginning. And I'm also taking an arts business course right now. It's called Catapult. It's a New Brunswick based. You have to apply to it. Anyway, I got in. And I'm hoping to learn a lot more about that through the course. So,
Oh, great. Well, that's your process is through education and learning from others how it's done. I would love to find out how that goes for you eventually. And then you mentioned an online course, which that you've put together. What platform did you decide on? Because I know there's so many out there and so many different thoughts and ideas on who should use what and why. What did you find worked the best for you?
I haven't uploaded it yet, but I'm thinking of using CourseCraft. I think it's one of the easier ones. And I have Skillshare, which I'm using to learn how to create my website. So I might try that as well. I think I'm just going to try one or two, see how it goes, and then decide where to go from there. That's another thing. I need some help with that. So maybe I need to hire someone.
It sounds like you do. That's a lot for one person. And
if only I made enough money to hire someone.
I know, really, really. Yes. And I think you, like a lot of us are, at the stage where there's so much to be done. And if your hands are not on it, it's not getting done. Yeah. How do you deal with that? Like, I guess that goes back to how you manage your time, but then also, I guess more so, how do you prioritize what you're going to do and when, since at this point, it's all you?
Well, taking this business course that I'm taking, I'm really going to have to prioritize and let some things go because I can't keep going the way I'm going. Yeah. Things are getting busier. Like I'm making more sales. I usually sell one item every day. And previously I would put up everything that I make, but I think I need to concentrate on maybe putting my bigger items up and also things that I can make more of. Like, for example, I'm starting to print my larger art quilts onto fabric so that there's the size of a journal so that I can make journals that way. And I'm hoping that will speed up my process a bit and people will actually get a little piece of art on their journal.
Yeah, good idea. Does it scare you, the thought of letting some things go?
Yes. In a way, it scares me if I need to know which things to let go of. Yeah. Because I enjoy all of it. So it's hard. It's a hard choice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can imagine. Because the way I think about it is everything we're doing is something we want to do. I mean, the things that we keep on doing, but then realizing that we can't do it all, and then, deciding, well, which ones to let go of can be kind of emotional.
Yes, I totally agree.
Typically, when you get an idea for a new product, how long does it take from concept to creating it to having it ready for sale?
That's another funny question. I might have something in my mind for years before I actually do it. But then if I get really excited about something, I will work away at it right away. For example, I had made some small little art quilts of flowers a couple of years ago. And I had in my head, okay, I'm going to make some patterns of those. I'm going to make some patterns. I'm going to remake them. And I didn't, but I've just finished making those patterns, and they're out being tested right now. So if I think, okay, this thing is really going to make me a little bit of extra money, I'll go ahead with it. But I have to balance that with being creative, because that's basically what I want to do, is be more creative, right?
Yeah.
And do what I love. So
Yeah. Now, when you say the patterns are out being tested, what do you mean?
So once I finish the patterns, I will send it out to people to try to make it. So I send the PDF to usually 2 or 3 people per pattern. So this is a line of pattern, like a collection. So it's 4 different quilts. So I'll send a copy of each pattern to like 3 or 4 different people to try it.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. That makes sense. What would you say are some of the things that you're doing now that you find are working really well for you on Etsy?
Things that were working really well. As I previously mentioned, the advertising on Etsy. Mm-hmm. I use eRank to help me some with my SEO. Okay. Which is another can of worms, as they say. And also handwritten thank yous and gift wrapping. Yeah. I think that made a big difference. And I learned the tips on that from Starla Moore. I don't know if you've heard of her.
I have. Starla was on the podcast a while ago.
Yeah. Oh, was she? She's amazing. Like, yes. I've learned, like, she's the one that taught me most of what I know, because I've looked on YouTube for different people, but I always keep coming back to her. She taught me how to edit my photos, their handwritten note idea, my descriptions. Like, she really was a valuable resource. And I don't know her personally. I've never talked to her personally, but just watching her videos, and she's amazing. I don't know how she does all of what she does either.
I know. She's one of the people I look at and I think, how many hours do you have in your day, Starla? Mm-hmm. Because she does a lot, and she shares a lot of good information. For anyone who doesn't know, she has a YouTube channel, and I'll link to it so you can check it out. And I know she also has a membership. I think it's called Handmade Alpha. Mm-hmm. And yes. But I think she only opens it maybe once or twice a year, where she, you get her, well, more, not one-on-one, but I think more education, more than she gives away for free. Mm-hmm. And so I'll look that up, and then I'll try and have links to those so folks can check that out. Again, with her academy, I think she only opens a few times a year. It's not an ongoing, from what I recall, it's not an ongoing, always open membership. Mm-hmm. But she teaches so much and gives so much education for free on her YouTube channel. So if it's not open, you can get so much from her anyway still.
Mm-hmm. And I find I myself personally, I don't think I would take the Handmade Alpha course because of the one of a kind that I do. Yeah. But so, and she has said that her course is not for people that sell one of a kind items. So I've thought about it, and I'm going to hold off, because she said she's working on making one for more one of a kind sellers. So I'm waiting for that to come out, and then I'll probably take her up on it.
Oh, I love that. Starla is good people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what features do you like the best on the Etsy platform? And is there a feature that isn't there now that you would want to see sometime in the future?
I really struggle with keeping track of things. Like, I don't understand the stats on Etsy. Honestly, I'm not a business person at all. That's not where my mind is. And I find it very difficult to understand what all those stats mean on your dashboard. And I don't analyze them like some people do. I wouldn't know where to start. So maybe a really good tutorial on that would be amazing. And also give me information on what I sell the most, because I always have to go back and look through and see, oh, that's sold. And you know what I mean? That I've sold more of that one than, just making it better, making it better that way. Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's a good point. I never really thought about that. Is there, are there any tools I know you mentioned eRank that you're using, and of course Starla, I assume through her YouTube channel. Any other tools or resources that you've found particularly helpful?
One other, she's actually a fellow Canadian, Amy Eaton. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a photographer, and she does little tutorials on photography. And she's been great, too, to help me get my photos to where they need to be.
Okay. Does she do this on YouTube, or does she have a website?
Both.
Okay. Do you know what her website is?
It's Amy Eaton, Eaton. And I think if you Google her name, it will come up. Okay. And she actually has a paid academy as well. It's called Snap, Sell, Succeed, which I haven't signed up for, but I'm a very frugal person. So I haven't signed up for her, but her academy, but she did have some free information that's been really helpful, some little YouTube videos. So
okay, so I will look her up and link to her as well. And I think, like you, a lot of people want to first learn as much as possible that we can before having to pay. And sometimes it even makes it easier to have followed somebody who has a paid product for a while, to just believe that, you can learn from them and it's worth paying for them. So
exactly. Yeah, we have we're very lucky here in New Brunswick that there's Kate Hunter is her name. She is the head of Etsy New Brunswick, and she really helps people when they need help. And I've met her a couple of times, and she's had shows put on locally. So it's meeting with those people has really helped as well. They've had question and answer periods as well. So, yeah.
Do you anticipate that as things get back to normal post-pandemic, that you will be more involved in your local Etsy team or group that meets?
I think I will continue. Like we usually have a show every summer. So hopefully they'll have one this year. I will participate for sure. I don't know. Actually, no, I think it's in the fall. And it's grown over the last 4 years I've been into it. It's grown to be a lot bigger. So, and it's just fun to get out and talk to other Etsy sellers and learn from them, and even just talk about what's working for them, or just to meet them and see what beautiful things they're making.
Yes. Yeah. For the most part, does your local group just put on shows, or do they also do like educational meetups where you pick a topic and someone will teach about that, or folks can share about those?
I have been to one meetup, and they also have a Facebook group that you can contact. And we've actually had online sales too, because we couldn't have a market last year. I've done a couple of online selling, and we do demos, and we have a video of our business, and people can go on there and sell and get we put a sale on, and it's kind of a fun virtual market, I guess it's called.
Yeah. How did the virtual market go? I know that Etsy is promoting those more now.
It was great for me. I enjoyed it, and it was fun to do a couple of demos live. It was something new that I'd never done before. all that online stuff is sometimes scary to jump into, but when you're forced into it, it makes it easier and you realize it's not so bad. It's not so scary.
Yeah, so true. So true. Now, Darcy, do you have an Etsy shop shout out?
I do.
Oh.
I do. I have a few. I do have a friend, and she's been with me through the years. She's been at Etsy shows. She's been at different shows that I've been to. And we both managed a shop together with a couple of other artists. And she's amazing. She does felted wool. Her name is Lois McDonald Layden, and her Etsy shop is called Tuckamore Wild. Tuckamore Wild.
Is that T-E-C-K? T-E-C-H?
T-U-C-K.
Oh, T-U-C-K. Okay.
A-M-O-O-R, I think.
Okay. Wild.
Yes. Yes. And she does little felted birds. And they're so sweet. And she does art as well, like wall hangings and such as well. Another person, I really seem to like UK artists, and I follow a lot of UK artists, and a couple of them do have shops. One of them is, her shop name is Thread Noodle, and her name is Isabel Moore.
Did you say thread, like T-H-R-E-A-D?
Mm-hmm. Thread Noodle.
Okay.
And it's Isabel Moore, and she's been starting doing online courses and such, and I think that's kind of where I got my inspiration, and she's doing them on CourseCraft. So
nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And one more, Allison Watley Designs.
What does she make?
She does embroidery, machine embroidery, and a lot of flowers and landscapes, but more simple, like more abstract, which I do some of, but and she really inspires me.
Oh, I love those embroidery designs.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Allison with 2 L's or 1?
1 L, and she's from the UK too, I believe, and her last name is Watley, W-H-A-T-E-L-E-Y Designs.
W-H-A-T-E-L-E-Y. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I had that misspelled. So I will make sure I have links to everybody's Etsy shops so folks can go check them out and see what they're doing, and let them know Darcy sent you when you do check them out.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
What's the best way folks can connect with you, Darcy, if they want to continue the conversation or just link up with you after this?
I have, of course, my Etsy shop, Darcy Doodle Quilts, and I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I am on Pinterest, but not a big presence there. And YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I don't have a lot of videos on there yet, but I'm working at it.
And is your YouTube channel also Darcy Doodle Quilts?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And Instagram everywhere. You've locked it down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Great. So I will have links to everywhere that you can find Darcy on the internet, so you can connect with her if you would like to. Darcy, thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey and all what you're doing. And I hope you do get to sleep sometime. I know there's a lot on your plate, but you're doing everything so well. So
thank you.
I'm just looking forward to seeing where your journey goes.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really had a lot of fun.
I did too. And I thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. I will be back with another one next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.